Last summer, my extended family visited Rome and Venice, two cities notorious for pickpocketers. If you haven't seen the travel video yet, you can view it here. Well, I just found out that we will be visiting Rome again this summer, like 32 million other Jubilee year pilgrims. Since all 10 of my family members returned from last year's trip with all our phones, wallets, passports, and valuables, I wanted to go over the safety strategies we employed during our trip. I'm going to group the suggestions based on cost, starting with the most expensive strategies first. I also consider these options buzzkill or Debbie Downer tips, because I understand that based on your thrill-seeking or independence level, these strategies may take some of the excitement and spontaneity out of traveling. My first suggestion is to travel in a group. Of course, part of the excitement of traveling is personal and subjective, like seeking out new experiences, exploring new venues, and trying local customs and cuisine. However, as the saying goes, there's safety in numbers. Traveling in a group allows you to cover each other visually and physically, as one or more members ask for directions, for locations on their phone, move in and out of public transportation, etc. The downside of group travel, of course, is the extra bit of logistics it takes to coordinate a small group moving through an unfamiliar city, or trying to find a table for 10 for a late night impromptu dinner. Number 2, book small group tours. If you're traveling alone or as a couple, this option will provide you the safety benefit of group travel. I'm specifying small groups here because the current MO is for local pickpocketers to join group tours and pretend to be tourists. We booked several skip-the-line type tours, which were more costly, but greatly reduced our exposure to big crowds and long lines, areas where pickpocketers thrive. Also, on the tours we took, the guides did a good job of keeping up with the group members and stopped frequently to address the group with facts and stories of the area we were visiting. So half the time, the guide had eyes on the members, an added measure of security. Opt for private transportation. Admittedly, this is another choice that drives up the travel costs and can frankly dampen some of the sense of adventure in traveling. However, getting in and out of trains and buses, in addition to just being in crowded terminals, adds to the risk of being victimized. Since we were a group of 10, we took 2 taxis or vans everywhere we could, and this was a bit of a logistic nightmare. However, on the upside, with 10 people, per person cost was more reasonable. On to the medium costs anti-theft strategies and products. Number 1, leave the expensive gear at home. Naturally, this could be a complete no-cost option if you decided to completely leave the little comforts of home at home, like your favorite rings or necklace or earrings or watch. However, if you decided to substitute something expensive for something less expensive, it could still wind up costing you money. If you've seen my What's in My Camera Bag video, you know I normally shoot with a Canon R8 and a 24-105 f4L lens. For this bucket trip list, I was tempted to take them. However, I opted to take a compact camera instead. I wound up buying an open box Sony ZV-1. It was definitely a lot lighter, easier to manage on tour, and much lower profile, so it drew fewer roving eyes than a big mirrorless camera. Plus, I figure if it gets stolen, that's only a $550 loss instead of $1,000 or so. By the way, if you've seen my What's in My Camera Bag video for 2025, you'll know that I was overall 100% happy with the compromise. I will do a separate video on the ZV-1 at some point, so please subscribe so you won't miss it. Buy anti-theft products. We bought several anti-theft bags that range from a little more to a lot more expensive than non-anti-theft bags of the same size and quality. However, if you think of the cost and inconvenience of losing your cash, passport, camera, or cell phone, I think it's worth spending a little more before your trip to mitigate the risk. Plus, the items we purchased were so well built that they will last several more trips. For my personal carry bag, I purchased a used nomadic travel pack locally. The one thing that I absolutely love about this bag is that every zipper on the bag, except for the top slit pocket, can be locked with a padlock. A separate review of this amazing bag will be coming soon. My wife's EDC was this packable backpack by Travelon. While not a heavy-duty bag, it does include anti-theft features like slash-resistant front and bottom body panels, slash-resistant straps, locking compartments, and an RFID blocking organizational pocket. My absolute favorite anti-theft product I purchased was the PackSafe Vibe 100 Hit Pack. This was my everyday carry during the trip. It was large enough to carry everything I needed for the day, including the aforementioned Sony ZV-1. Plus, it's super secure with a cut-resistant strap, wire mesh reinforced fabric, locking zippers, and an RFID blocking pocket. A separate review of this camera can be found here. Meanwhile, my two nephews chose to use these two anti-theft waist packs from Travelon. One of the things I really debated about was whether or not to take a watch. And I know I had said earlier, a zero cost option or strategy would be, just leave the good stuff home. But like the camera, I can't do without a watch. At first I thought, maybe I would take a G-Shock, and that way it would be a low cost option in case it was lost or stolen. But then when I started looking at the G-Shocks that I would take, then I was like, gosh, these are just as expensive as the Apple Watch. I decided to take an Apple Watch instead, mainly because the Apple Watch has the added bonus of being able to ping my phone. But also I figure I could use it to follow walking directions, and that way I can keep my phone, locked up in my sling. And that will kind of minimize the exposure of the phone and hopefully minimize the chance of it getting stolen. Now, I did a little bit of research, and I found out that this style band, the one with just this little button on it, this is evidently the easiest watch to snatch off someone's wrist. And so a low-cost option or strategy, if you are going to take your Apple Watch just like me, is to just get a different band for it. And there's like a lot of different third-party manufacturers. What I decided on was just to get like a traditional band with a clasp on it. And supposedly that's more secure than, again, this one with just the little button on it there. So I'm going to try and do this on camera. If it gets too difficult, I'm going to do it off camera. But essentially for all Apple Watches, it's very easy to take the band off. It's very easy for Apple to charge you, $50-$60 for a new band. But this was just one that I found on the internet. And again, the main reason I wanted it was because it had a clasp on it. So if you're able to see that, you're just pressing down on the little button there. And these slide out. And then you slide this one back in. And it's not metal or titanium or anything like that. This is also just a plastic band. I think I got it on the web for like $25. But it's just more secure because it does actually have a physical clasp on it. And then if you can see, not sure if you can see that, but even on the catch there's a little tooth, and that little tooth feeds into the notches here in the band. And so it just keeps it a little more secure. Again, just as a theft deterrent. I mean, if someone jerked this watch pretty hard, it might come off, but then having, this extra little bit of the buckle and that tooth there, maybe again it will just give you that split second you need to react. Now on to the low-cost strategies and products. The one low-cost product that has the absolute largest return on investment is a phone lanyard or neck strap. And you absolutely need one or the other or both. If you've seen any travel videos from London recently, you know that cell phone theft is rampant. Not only is the phone of value, but if a thief can snatch your phone before you have a chance to lock it, they can access your banking, PayPal, Venmo, and Apple Pay accounts and drain your funds. This also opens you up to the possibility of someone stealing your identity. And if you've ever known anyone who's gone through this, it can be a long and arduous and costly effort to restore your funds and your credit rating. We bought these cheap lanyards on Amazon and brought extras for our family. You simply place the tab between your phone and a full cover case, then attach the lanyard. Now, it just so happens that I had to buy a new phone case, so I thought I would demonstrate how this works. So most of these kits, or all the kits, will come with a little tab and some type of loop, either fabric or string. Sometimes this tab can be square, could be made out of plastic, it could be made out of fabric. But anyway, they all kind of work the same. Now what I do like about this system is, and you can see it here in the reflection, this actually has some adhesive on it. So that will help stick to the phone. And it, you know, if somebody tries to grab your phone, it may just give you that split second to react. And also, I was thinking too, if they grabbed your phone hard enough, there is a possibility that it will pop out of the case. So again, maybe having this sticking to your phone just might give you that extra split second to react. I mean, all of these are really just theft deterrents. I mean, if somebody really wanted to get your phone, I'm sure they would find some way to do it. But again, as far as return on investment, these are very cheap. And if it saves your $1,200 phone, I'd say it's worth it. But anyway, what I have here is a 15 Pro Max. I have a new case for it. And as I said in the description, it's a full cover case. So you're going to drop the tab through the case and make sure that the loop is sticking out where the charging port is. If you can see that. Okay. And then that is basically it. You want to just drop your phone into your case. And then again, make sure that the loop is showing. And then, like I said earlier, you absolutely need to make sure that you have a full coverage case. So what that means essentially, it can't be like those cases where just the covers are cornered. It also can't be one of the cases where the back is covered. You really need it to go around the entire phone on the front and on the back. And then after that, it's relatively simple. Our kit here came with both a lanyard and a neck strap. So I'll show you how that goes. So basically, this is the bottom of your phone. All of these have some variation of a clip or a carabiner. This one actually is quite difficult to put it on as the user, so I imagine it would be hard to take off if somebody tried to actually unclip it. So I'm going to do this off camera. Okay, so I've opened up that clip and I've put it through the fabric loop there, and that's about it. And so this is a wrist strap. It's nice if you're an iPhone photographer and you use your iPhone primarily for your pictures and videos. You obviously will just wrap this around your wrist as you're using your phone. But what I like about this kit is that it also came with this neck strap, and it is very generous length. You can see here. And it essentially works the same way. There is a clip here that goes through the fabric loop we talked about earlier. Again, I'm going to do this off camera just to make it a little quicker. Okay, so like we talked about it, there is this clip here, and then a very generous neck strap. And it works essentially the same way. Now, I mainly use the neck strap, and if you saw any of my previous videos, you know that I actually like to use a real camera for my pictures and videos. And so what I did was I used this neck strap, and I would tuck my phone actually into my shirt in high theft areas. If I needed to pull out my phone for directions, or to send a text, or even just to take a quick snap that I needed to airdrop to someone, I would take the iPhone out of my shirt and just take the picture or whatever and then put it back in. So I had the safety of it being underneath my shirt, and then also having this sturdy neck strap. Well, like we said, these are very cheap. I think we bought this set in a set of 2, and we also brought some extras for our family members. I think that was a different kit that came with a kit of 3. Very cheap insurance to protect your iPhone. Another very cost-effective solution are these variably sized clips. And interestingly, I found these originally because they were billed as replacements for zipper pulls that have been broken off of zippers. And I just bought a pack, and they're just, you can see, they're various sizes. But they can turn an ordinary bag into a theft-resistant bag by securing the zipper pulls. Now, you just have to make sure that the gap between the zipper pulls doesn't allow for a very big area. As an example, I'm going to use my work laptop bag. This is a Samsonite travel bag. It's a very good bag, actually. I highly recommend it. But you can see that here's the main compartment, and there's actually no way from the factory to lock these zipper pulls together. But I've taken the smallest clip from that pack, and it fits perfectly actually right here on the zippers. And you can see how difficult this is. And there, So you can see that the zipper pulls are clipped together, and there's not even a little gap there, so you can't even fit one finger through the gap that it creates. So again, these are very cheap, effective ways to make your bag a little more theft deterrent. Now, like I said earlier, what you want to avoid though is, say, something like this, where you put this clip on this end of the zipper pull and this one on the other. I mean, that's obviously not very useful there because it creates such a wide gap. So depending on what you have in the pocket or where the pocket is located, that's not an ideal situation. I mean, I can almost, well, I can fit my whole hand in there. So you just have to be careful where you use them. Okay, and just a quick demonstration with another bag. This is my son's sling bag. And this is probably going to be a little overkill, but you know, again, we're going to push one set of clips here between these zipper pulls. And then for this middle pocket, because it has this vertical zipper, I was just using this larger clip and then clipping it here to the smaller clip that we just used. So anyway, I know that probably seems very strange looking at it, and then it also just seems like overkill. But again, all these things are just theft deterrents. You don't have to have like Fort Knox level security. You just have to have better security than the person standing in line next to you. So if you have something like this going on in your bag, and then someone has an unlocked bag, you know, that's halfway open with a wallet on it showing, you know, chances are they're going to go for that bag versus something like this. Now, while we're talking about cheap theft deterrents, you know, the other thing is, don't forget about zip ties. So if you have these bags where, you know, you have these quick release buckles, you know, they're very convenient, obviously, for day-to-day carry and all that. However, again, if you're in a high theft area, you know, you might want to go ahead and put a zip tie through it, just as a theft deterrent. Now, I'm just using a colored one here just to be able, so it'll show up on camera, but obviously these come in a wide variety of lengths and thicknesses and colors, but you can use one of these zip ties. I'm not going to put one in here just to waste one, but you can use a zip tie to zip tie these quick releases. Okay, and just one more example. If you saw my review on this is the alpaca tech case. I had noted in that review that I didn't like these magnetic clips because I just think they're not very secure. I mean, that's all it takes to undo it. And again, I know that's very convenient for everyday travel. Like, you just want to be able to unhook it and get it off your shoulder. But somebody with some very nimble fingers, which a lot of pickpocketers have, you know, they may be able to just take this off your body very quickly without you knowing it. So this is another candidate for the zip ties. So any of these quick release type buckles. So like I said, this one's magnetic. But again, just having a zip tie on it will just add that extra measure of security. Buy extra locks and cables. TSA locks are so cheap now, it only makes sense to buy extra ones. You never know when you might need one. We prefer these types of locks with the cable loop on it. It just seems like it's more useful in a variety of situations because sometimes, you know, the shackle won't fit around the hinge or whatever it is you're trying to lock. So we found these to be very helpful. And even these loops come in a variety of length and thicknesses. Now, this particular kit came with these 3mm wires. They're not very thick, but they are vinyl coated and they have a loop on the end. And the cables really came in clutch when we were in Venice. We arrived at our hotel around lunchtime, but they couldn't check us in until 2. However, since 2 of our family members were leaving early the next morning, we wanted to go ahead and see the sights and then check in when we got back. The desk clerk told us that we could put our luggage and bags in the small dining area behind the front desk and that they'd watch it. And not that we didn't trust them, but to keep a guest or two from walking away with a bag or so, we used the locks and these cables to lock our suitcases and backpacks together, and we piled them together in 2 piles so that somebody couldn't easily walk out with something, or that wouldn't at least be noticed by the staff. Okay, and I'm really going to sound like a Boy Scout now. But I bought everyone these keyless whistles, one for everyone in my group. And our agreement basically was that if someone saw someone trying to pickpocket anyone in the group, or anyone else for that matter, that we would blow the whistle to draw other people's attention. But I also think, you know, I got the brightly colored ones on purpose, kind of as, again, just a theft deterrent. If somebody was looking to pickpocket us and saw all of us carrying whistles, it might be somewhat of a deterrent for them to move on and try and pickpocket someone else. Well, if you've gotten this far in the video, you're probably wondering, well, what about AirTags? Honestly, I debated whether or not to include them in this video. To me, they're not really like a theft deterrent. They're more for like a what-if scenario. So let's face it, if you're on your iPhone or your iPad and you're using Find My to look for your AirTag, the loss has already occurred. However, I decided to go ahead and include it in this video, mainly to avoid the "what about AirTag" comments in the comment section. But also, it doesn't hurt. I'm a big believer of the AirTags, and I do put them in all my bags. So again, not really a theft deterrent, but it's nice to have in a what-if situation. Well, that's it. That's all the travel safety tips and products I have for you today. If you stuck around to the end of the video, mahalo, I appreciate it. If you have any questions regarding any of the tips or products we discussed in the video, please let me know in the comments section. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If you found any of this content helpful or entertaining, please make sure to drop a like and please subscribe for future content.